Hey, I'm Barry. Welcome to Sunken Mine Railroad. This week I'm going to start building the buildings that belong on my Märklin toporama layout. And the cool thing about these Märklin buildings is they're not too hard to assemble, but some of them have some roots in history and real buildings. And the first one I'm going to work on is the Dürnau station, which is a freight station. And here's a couple of packs. I need two of them. So here's one of them, one of the early packs, and here's the other one. And you can see the update of the graphics. So the layout my dad made, the remnants of it are here. These are the only pieces I could find of the building, and there's like just some chunder of it left. And so I did a little internet research, and I thought, well, it's been named Dürnau, so where's Dürnau in Germany? And doing some internet research, I discovered that Dürnau is a town that is about 17 kilometers from Göppingen, and there was a line called the Voralbahn or the Voralb or the Bad BOLL Bad Ball Railway, which is no longer there. It was a track or a branch line to Bold, Germany from Göppingen. It went really from 1926 to 1989. The last passenger train ran exactly 31 years today, which is weird. And there's an I'm going to butcher this. Erdinger rail buses were used from 52 till 72, and there's a picture of the last passenger train that rode that line. Then the line was used for freight, and finally decommissioned altogether in 1997. And doing some Google Earth viewing, I found where this building still exists, and it's a private home now. So basically, you go from the station and go east through, if you're following along on the map, to Holzheim, and then you can follow the line all the way down to the station. The line's almost completely decommissioned now through Ursenvang, and then through Heinigen, and finally into Dürnau, which is just a little bit east of Bad Ball. And then if you zoom in right here, you can see the actual freight station, which has become someone's house. So apologies if you live in this house. I'm not trying to get any notoriety for it, but if you look at the actual shape of the roof, it is almost identical to the shape of the model. Here's what it looks like right here. So this is exactly the station. And if you look and do some further searching around this train line, you'll see there are a couple of images up there. Again, if you live in the house, I'd love to have a current photo of it, and I'll reproduce your house using one of these kits for future work. So that's some history of the area. If you're from that area, I apologize if I left anything out, but that's a little bit of history on the station. So getting to the station itself, I did build one up so I could explain it a little bit better. So here's one I built last night, and you can see it's kind of cute. One thing I noticed when I was looking at the house is that it's actually 2 stories and not 1. So Märklin decided, like they do in some of their other kits, to sort of take some liberties. And so here's the latest one. Here's the built-up building, and then here's the actual station. Here's the parts. So here's the red, the platform, the Märklin flocking material, which comes with every kit. I'm going to have a bucket of this later. I'm not going to put any of this on the houses until the layout is sorted out and I really want to sprinkle it on. And then here's some more pieces. Here's the clear windows. This is a paper filter to keep the light from the light going through the plastic, and here's the actual white plastic. So that all of these parts eventually make this kit. It's not a very intense kit. I actually chose it first because I didn't want to dive right into some of the more complicated kits. I'm sure by the time I get to the end of this, I'll be a super rock star when it comes to building kits. So some tools you're going to need. You're going to need an X-Acto blade. A needle file is useful. I have a pick tool that I use to move parts around, some tweezers, and then I used a small ruler to cut this paper out with an X-Acto blade. Make sure your X-Acto knife is sharp. And then I bought this tool. It's a plastic snipper, again from Micromark. Didn't get anything for free, but it makes the snipping of plastic pieces 800 times easier. The other thing you're going to need is a spray paint, or I have an airbrush. So that's going to be something that you'll need as well. And then for adhesives, I really like the Testors Model Master paints. They come with an applicator that's a needle. So if you're into building plastic models, and that's one of my hobbies, you're going to want some of this because it's just easier to apply. If you use a big tube, it gets everywhere. And then you can also put this kit together with super glue or cyanoacrylate glue. If you get some difficult tiny pieces, one of the problems with these glues is that they fog windows. So when you glue anything that's clear, you want to use either regular Elmer's glue like your kids have, or I have this nifty clear Gorilla Glue, which works really well. And then you're going to need some acrylic flat black paint, thin down. Either you can brush it on, or you can use an airbrush like I do. So that's what you're going to need to build this kit. Here's the instructions. They're pretty straightforward. Not much to it at all. This is not a complicated kit to build. So starting to build the kit, the first thing that I like to do is I like to paint the parts on the trees as much as possible. It's just easier. In this case, on this building, that's exactly what I did. I painted it on the trees and then put it together. One of the other things that you're going to want to do is put the windows in position before you paint it, because if you paint and then glue, sometimes the paint will keep the glue from adhering. This styrene plastic glue, what it really does is it slightly melts the parts, and then it dries, and the parts they bond that way. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to glue all the windows and doors on here. Then I'm going to paint and then after that I'm going to assemble. All right, now the parts are separated from the trees, and I'm going to put them on the walls. Really use this glue sparingly. You do not need a lot of glue to apply these parts. And that's it. So I'm going to let that dry. While I'm doing that, I'm going to put the chimney on the roof, and then I'm going to come back later and hit this with some black spray paint. One of the things that helps the adhesion of some of these parts is to scrape off the gloss finish a little bit, rough it up. It makes the glue a little bit better. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do while I'm waiting for this glue to dry, keep things moving, is I'm going to cut this guy out. One of my old jobs was cutting masks at a printing company, so that skill comes in handy. All right, so there's the mask cut out, and now I have to fold it and glue it. I'm going to use the ruler to do that, and then we'll save that for later, for when the building's dry. Again, if you have a small scale, it makes things a little bit easier. They put all the guides right on this, so you can just kind of fold it up, and then use some Elmer's glue to stick it.